You might remember from last session, we left off with the live webinar registration page. The structure pretty much built out. We ran through the structure. We didn't go through and do the full-on design tweaks. That's this page. I'm going to go ahead and open this one up in the editor. We've got it in as a split test just so we can kind of see this. And this was a live. The purpose of this one is to run through and do a live webinar registration. And so we had gone back through at the beginning of the session, kind of talked about what we had talked about during our initial funnel foundation session, the very first one, that we wanted to do a live webinar doing a perfect webinar style presentation, selling a $997 course, specifically targeted at yoga studio owners that are looking to increase their business and their revenue. And particularly, we're going to teach them how to do that using funnels and online marketing, or I should say online marketing, specifically funnels. And so we ran through and we built this page out. We said, hey, the first one is going to begin August 10th, which is today at 7 p.m. Eastern. I actually got notification from Zoom yesterday, I believe, that the webinar was coming up, and I'll get another one later today saying, hey, your webinar is today. I did 1 hour before, should get one because we did schedule that. We did run through, we did register. So all that piece is working. And so we've got our live webinar registration page here. We've got kind of a banner, and we used this funnel from the cookbook process of building a funnel as kind of our template, kind of the structure-wise what we want it to be. We would, obviously want to tweak out the styles to fit our audience, but this one was based on a womanpreneur was the kind of the theme. And so it's definitely a little more feminine base, got a little more feminine touch to it, which fits well with our audience. So we get some color schemes in there so we can, tweak those a little bit so we have a cross-gender audience, but mostly geared towards having a little more feminine sensibilities. But it does fit well with kind of what we're looking at. It's got a nice kind of luxury feel to it. Obviously, we'll do our own background images and our own headers and hooks and secrets and all that stuff. But the structure of it was nice. We like that. We got dropped off this piece, which is the kind of the About Me section. I want to focus more on the vehicle and getting people registered than it is about who it is that's presenting. This is not necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes it can be a little too much. And if it's not necessary, then don't add it. Where we left off was building out the structure of that. So if we take a look at this page, we can see that we've got the structure of this page built out. So we've got very similar. We can see in this one, we've got kind of this, kind of pop-up here, or I shouldn't say pop-up, but kind of overlays the top of this background. You've got a hook. We've got our bar up at the top. This particular bar, and this one has a logo and a button on it to register. The button's not a bad idea. I don't believe that it's a good idea necessarily to do the logo here unless it's a branding play. If you have a strong brand and you think people are going to be attracted to just listen to what the brand has to say, then you could certainly do that. But if nobody knows who your brand is, then there's no point in having this logo here. It just takes up space, and we could use that instead for some scarcity and urgency. So we want to replace that button with some scarcity and urgency, and we want to pull them in with a strong hook, let them know when the web class is, have a countdown to the time. You can see it's 6 hours, 51 minutes away, and then a button to reserve your spot. And then below that, we have similar. We have the what you're going to learn, and then the 3 secrets. I like this structure. It kind of lays things out well. It also works well with mobile because it automatically drops secret 1, 2, and 3 down top to bottom below that. And then we've got a little kind of a little bit of a hero section here that talks about more of the urgency and scarcity and another call to action. So we would have that kind of scarcity and urgency here with another call to action to reserve your spot. And these actually fire a pop-up. And the one thing that we talked about as well is to darken up this pop-up so that the overlay, the background color, is much darker than the normal ClickFunnels. That way, you're not distracted by anything behind the page. What you're focused on is the thing in the center, which is what we want people to take action on. Again, we're only going to collect those things that we might use. We started with just email. Email is great. Zoom does pull in the email address as the first name and last name if you do that. So just be aware the emails from Zoom might read a little goofy to some people, but it still gets them the details, and I think it's acceptable for sure. If you add the first name, last name, or a full name field, then ClickFunnels will split that out, pass those over to Zoom, and then Zoom will insert those into the emails as they come out. And then once we reserve, then we'll land on the confirmation page, which is the next step in the process. So today we're kind of going to go through, I'm not going to spend the time to go through all of the building out of the headlines and the hooks and everything else. We've kind of done that at the beginning in the very first session, the funnel foundations. We talked a lot about how to craft a strong hook, how to craft your secrets. And that was really that first foundation. So I don't want to waste anybody's time going through that again. Definitely if you want to a bit of a refresher on how to craft a really strong hook, how to craft your secrets, specifically what the secrets are for. You know, secret 1 is always about the vehicle, secret 2 or should always be about the vehicle, which in this case is online marketing and funnels. And secret number 2 should be about the internal disbelief or the internal beliefs that somebody has that might hold them back from wanting to buy into your product. And then secret number 3 is about the external belief that somebody might have. What are those things that somebody believes about external forces that will hold them back from making a purchase? And so, for example, just real quickly, secret number 1 might be something around how you can build your a sizable revenue stream with online marketing, even if you've never opened a laptop before. Something like that it's all about the vehicle. It's about the online marketing, right? And then we're going to talk about funnels as part of that vehicle. It's like, okay, we get you in with online marketing. So it'd be an audience that's brand new to online marketing. So we're going to talk to them about how online marketing is the way to go. How, you know, yellow page ads are dead, newspapers are dead, radio ads are dead. All those things, you know, are old methods. Online marketing is now the new hotness. And funnels in particular are a way to have a super compact, super focused way to use online marketing to get people to take the action you want them to take. So again, a vehicle, internal struggle, external struggle for secret 1, 2, and 3. So we've got that. So we won't go through that today, but this is kind of what we're working with from a registration page perspective. And then the next step is we want to build out our webinar confirmation page. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to get rid of this variation since we got our 1. So let's delete this page variation since we already built out. We know we started with this one just as a quick build a funnel, but then we picked kind of starting from a blank slate. And so we'll do that again on our confirmation page as well. So now we should have just the 1 page. Okay, great. And now let's jump into our webinar confirmation page. And for this one, we want to, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to break this down and we're going to start with a blank template. Let's see if we've got a blank one for our template. We may not. We may have to just delete everything out, which is I think what we had to do last week as well. Yeah, there is no blank. Okay, so we don't have a blank page template for some of these types. So let's just pick any old page here. And we'll get that one going. As soon as that comes up, we'll pull this up and edit the page. And please, if somebody would shout out, I know we've had some issues with the sound kind of cutting in and out. Seems to be later in the audios. I'm not quite sure what that is. I moved my microphone closer to me, closer to my face. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. It seemed to clear up the issue last week. But if for some reason you start noticing problems, please let me know in the chat and I'll make some adjustments. So let's see. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Dan. Dan says the sound is stable now. Awesome. So let's go ahead and close out this editor page. We're going to go ahead and leave. And let's go ahead and close out this page. So we're kind of got a clean slate to work with. And let's go ahead and open to this confirmation page. So the goals of our confirmation page are a couple of things. If we're doing a self-liquidating offer, is to make the first and foremost is to let people know, hey, awesome, you're registered. Here's why you should attend this session. And then the next might be, if we decide we want to do a self-liquidating offer, something that we have that we can break off from the main offer that is complementary but not take away from or not make somebody feel like they've scratched their itch. We can add a self-liquidating offer that gives them something else that they can, something low ticket, $7 to $27 that they can buy while they wait. And this is especially good for live webinars where you've got a time frame between the time that they're registering and the time that they might start. If you've got a small ebook or a small lead magnet, I shouldn't even say lead magnet, but a small like front-end offer that you can give, maybe it's a short video training, something like that, that you can give someone or you can sell someone up front that they can consume while they're waiting on your webinar to start, that can be a good thing, especially if it's a really, really good product. And it should be a really, really good product, because what you want to have is somebody that buys that $7 or $27 and sees how much value they get for that investment, because that's going to set the bar for the type of value they'll expect, and the type of value they feel that they'll be able to get from you when you get to make them the offer for your larger package. You'll already have set the standard, have this is the level at which I deliver. So you know, if I'm delivering a product that's significantly more expensive, I'm going to deliver even more on that product. So can be a very good thing if you've got something, again, that does not compete with your core product. Because what I see some people run into when they make a self-liquidating offer where you're going to sell a $7 or $27 product on the webinar confirmation page is that they'll offer something that is also related to their core offer. People think that, oh, well, I already bought that one thing. I think I'm good for now. And that keeps them from making a buying decision on a larger product. They might go through it and they might feel like, yep, I can see the value in this thing and I can see how it'd be worth the money, but I already bought this thing and that's already too much for me. That's already a lot of work and I don't want to do even more work if I buy this other thing. So I'm just going to stick with the $7 product versus the $1,000 product. So you don't want it to be that case. The example that I always like to give, because I think it's a great one, is Dan Henry's offer, his self-liquidating offer for his Facebook ads for entrepreneurs product, which I'm not even sure is still available. I believe he may have closed down that offer, but at one time, the front end or the self-liquidating offer for that particular product was the Pixel Helper. Basically, it was a short video course for how to install your Pixel. I don't remember exactly what he called the product, but it was complimentary. It's like everybody that does Facebook ads is going to need help with their Pixel, but not everybody that just because they bought how to install your Pixel doesn't mean they're going to know how to do Facebook ads. So they're still going to need to know how to do what's in my core program. Somebody that's interested in Facebook ads, they're probably also interested in Pixels. So they might buy the front end offer. And I believe that offer converted very, very well for him. But it doesn't cannibalize the sales on the back end because you haven't talked to them at all about Facebook ads. This is just how to install the Pixel, which could be just for general traffic tracking and all kinds of other stuff. Obviously, if you're running ads, your pixels need to be done right as well, but it's not just about Facebook ads, and it really doesn't talk at all about Facebook ads in that course. So people are still going to want to buy the core product. Okay, so we are in our webinar confirmation page, this one, again, this one is it's got a countdown on it, and this one actually is kind of good. It's got the layout of it. We'll strip everything out, but just kind of start to walk through the things that you want to have on your page. The logo is not as bad on this one because this might be where you want to start enforcing that brand or enforcing yourself. Like, hey, about me, here's what to expect. Here's who I am. Here's my expertise. Kind of build up the anticipation of, okay, this thing I just signed up for, yep, I can really, really see the value in it now, because what you want to have is this page entices more people to actually show up. Especially when it comes to a live webinar, there's a lot of times the majority of your people are going to register earlier in the process, and you don't want them to forget about you by the time they get to actually attending the webinar, because you want them to show up on the webinar. And the more people you have show up, obviously the better chance you have of closing those sales. Just real quick, Dan says Pixel Hero. Yeah, and he bought it from Dan. Yeah, it's a great product. And yes, thank you, Dan, for that. From Dan, and that's the one from Dan Henry. That was his self-liquidating offer. So it was basically how to set up your Pixel and go from there. So in this one, so we're on a confirmation page. Our goal here should be confirm that this person has just registered, that they are registered, they have a spot reserved, and that they made a great decision, and that reinforce the speaker. Like here's a little bit. You could even reinforce the 3 secrets. Again, we want them to recall and to be really hyped up about actually showing up, so we can build that scarcity and urgency again, as well as if we want to have a self-liquidating offer, then we can offer that. But I think the first and foremost is to confirm with them that their registration is confirmed. So that's kind of what we got here. We've got a, hey, you're in, nice. Before you go, watch this 2-minute video. And it's got a countdown. I like to put in, for live webinars, the date on which the webinar is going to happen, Hey, don't forget your session as, uh, August 10th, Saturday, August 10th at 7 p.m. And the countdown below that, click here to add it to your calendar and actually add the calendar links so that somebody can add it to their calendar to get that reminder. We're going to send them email reminders from our webinar software as well as from our follow-up sequences. But it's nice to let them add it to the system that they use the most. They can pick their own calendar system and how they want to do that. So it's good to have that in there as well. I live by my calendar. If I don't get a reminder for my calendar, I often do not show up for things. So I always need to make sure that things are on my calendar, and a lot of people live that way. So let's make it easy for them to add to their calendar. And then watch the video. So we let them know that, but hey, before you go, watch this 2-minute video below so you can get the most from our live training together. So this would be kind of an indoctrination video. This is going to be that, hey, here's who I am, here's what I want to bring to you, here's why I created this free training that you're about to attend, and I want to make sure that you get the most out of it. So here's the things to think about before you get started. Here's a little about me and my background. So you can even tell a little bit, just a small snippet of your origin story, enough to build curiosity that person wants to hear the rest of the story. What you don't want to do in this video is actually tell a full story where they've now scratched the itch. Again, we're opening loops. This process is all about opening loops. This is the problem that most people have. And I actually just did a session on Wednesday, a coaching session with another group of mine, and went through, and that was one of the things from 2 different folks in that group that were building out live webinar funnels. They were both struggling with the same problem, and that's making complete statements, telling the complete story in this case on their secrets, in their step 1, 2, 3, or the secret 1, 2, and 3 on the registration page, making a complete statement that in and of itself made complete sense. There was nothing more to tell. But making it be about the vehicle. Just because the sentence is about the vehicle, or the sentence is about the internal belief, or sentence is about the external belief, doesn't mean it's a secret. It doesn't mean that that's what you need. So what it has to do is it has to open a loop. It has to ask a question. It has to build curiosity. And the same thing here. You don't want your video to tell the full story and then close the loops. You want to open more loops. The goal is to open loops until they attend the free webinar, until they attend your live session. You want to have open loops in their mind, because people live by wanting to close loops. Everybody wants to close the loops, right? And so we need to make sure we open those loops. This is what soap operas do the best, right? And so if you've ever read or followed Andre Chaperone at all, Andre Chaperone created the autoresponder madness program years and years ago. He's taught it, still to this day is the master of email marketing and telling stories in an email. And what he teaches is just that, is that the goal of every email should be to open a loop, open several loops, and only maybe close one of them. So now you've got 2 open loops running for the next email, and then you might close one and open 2 more. And then you've got those loops open. And so people will naturally follow through and want to open every email that you send them because you've opened these loops. And he equates that to the soap opera sequence. And as far as I know, Andre was the one who coined that soap opera sequence. Everybody uses it now and uses that term. So you'll hear that frequently. Russell talks about this as well. But the concept of the soap opera sequence email, where you've got a sequence of emails that run like a soap opera. And soap operas are brilliant at opening loops. They start a storyline, they open a loop, and at the end of the process, you've got this curiosity, like, oh, who did it? Who killed who? Who's sleeping with who? Who's doing whatever? Who's the one that's going to get in trouble with the police? Whatever that loop is, they've opened it, and then they get to the end of, and they leave you on that cliffhanger. Okay, the loop is still open, and then so the next one and the next series, the next part of that same soap opera, they open up back on the loop. And then they continue through that loop again, and they may close that one, but before they close that one, they open another one. So there's this constant weave of open and closing of loops throughout that entire soap opera. So again, it's all about, in people's mind, they have to watch that next episode to see what that loop is. That's why you have shows, series that were originally intended, I believe, you've got some, especially in the sci-fi space, where you get some sci-fi nerds, which I myself am a sci-fi nerd to some degree. But if you start a TV show, start a TV series, and there's been several that think they're going to run for 10 years, so they start opening all these loops, and then they get canceled. And then you get people up in arms and upset because, hey man, you can't cancel a show when it's halfway through the storyline. You open all these loops and now they're not closed for me, and now I'm struggling with this. So that's our goal here, is to open loops for people that are enticing them, that are making them curious, that they want to hear the rest of the story, because that's what's going to get them to show up on the live webinar. And you might even mention that, hey, I want to just give you just a brief synopsis of my background, and open a couple of loops, and then go through and let them know that, okay, and I want to share the rest of the story on the session this coming Saturday. So make sure you attend so you can hear the rest of the story. So that is something that, so I'm going through here real quick, just getting a little background noise. So you want to open those loops up, and then you let them know that you're going to be closing them, but you're only going to close them on the live session. That's how you get people to show up. That's how you get people to attend. So that's what this video does here. You don't have to have a video, but if you're going to have one, that's what it should do. Be telling a little bit of a story to open up a loop, and then let them know that you'll finish the loop when they attend the live session. Again, if you do that with copy, same thing. So Richard says, can you give some of your examples of the open loops that you like? It really depends. I think the open loops that are good in this scenario are not necessarily specific ones, not specific stories, but they're ones that are related to the things that you might be teaching on the webinar. So if you're, a great one to start with is your origin story, right? A big portion of your live presentation is going to be about the origin story, your origin, your background, where you came to become the expert that's now going to impart this knowledge to them, right? That's the goal of the live session, is, hey, I have something I want to teach you. But before I do that, I want to tell you how I came by this knowledge in the first place. So you can share some of your origin story. Russell likes to teach this, and he asked this the other day in the office, and it was kind of a quiz, pop quiz, who knows the 4 stories that you need to tell in any perfect webinar presentation. One of those is your origin story. So you need to tell your origin story, and it should have, your origin story should have an epiphany bridge in it, an epiphany bridge script. And so you can get all of these things. The epiphany bridge script is one of the most powerful concepts I've ever learned. I learned it from Russell, and it's one of the only scripts that's actually included in both the .com Secrets and the Expert Secrets book. And the reason is because you should learn how to use that thing better than anything. The epiphany bridge is what you need to use to pull people from a point of not being interested or not knowing anything about your concept to that, pulling them into that same state of mind you were in when you had your light bulb moment about whatever it is that you're trying to teach them. And if you can get them to feel that same emotion you felt in building up to that same pain and struggle that you felt, that same excitement, that same wonder, that same curiosity, whatever state of mind you were in when you had that aha, now, oh, this totally makes sense. This is the answer. Then if you can get them to go through that same level of emotion and get them to have that same aha moment at the same time that you did in your story, then they will be much more connected with you and much more likely to be excited about what it is you have to share. And so that should be one of your first ones. It should be your origin story that talks about your background, how, in this case, hey, I totally get, I totally get what it's like to be a yoga studio owner and not be able to make money. It depends. If your background was you were a yoga studio owner and you figured out how to make online marketing work, then that would be one thing. In this case, we're coming from a direction of, hey, we're online marketers, we're funnel builders that want to help yoga studio owners. So my origin story on this one might be related to, not related at all to yoga studio owners, except in this way. And that is that my wife is a yoga instructor, and she's got some friends, some people that she knows that own yoga studios. And one of the ladies that we know mutually, and I'm not telling this in story format, I'm just kind of giving you the background real quick, but one of the ladies that we know, that my wife knows, is also in our 2 Comma Club coaching program with ClickFunnels and with Russell and Brent and the whole crew in the 2 Comma Club X coaching program. And so I'm in that group, and I saw her make a post one day, and I thought, oh, hey, and she talked about being a yoga studio owner, and I thought, oh, I think this person is someone that my wife knows. and has talked about it. And so I reached out to my wife and said, hey, do you know this person? And she said, yep, I sure do. And so we got connected that way. And then one day I saw her post a story in the coaching channel saying how she was thinking that she might have to cancel her membership to the coaching program because she was struggling. The finances weren't quite where they needed them to be. She's from outside appearances, owns a successful yoga studio. You'd think, okay, she should be making good money. She should be comfortable, living well and all that. And she's just looking to do better. But no, it was the opposite was true. She was having difficulty keeping all things afloat and paying both the coaching program and keeping the lights turned on, keeping groceries on the table. And so that's when it dawned on me. And so this will be into the story format. So, here I am seeing how I've always talked to my wife about how, it's hard for yoga studio owners to make a successful business because they're really, really passionate. And most often they do what they do because they're passionate about yoga. They're passionate about helping people. They're passionate about teaching, but their passion is not how to run a profitable business. Their passion is about how they can better practice yoga. And then, you've got this woman who is in that exact mode that she is really, really good at what she does. She's really, really good at teaching yoga, but it's a struggle. And here I come and say, man, I would love to be able to take my expertise and help other people that are struggling with building a profitable business and take in what I know and share it with those people that need it the most. And so this is what made it personal for me. It was this would be an Epiphany Bridge story. So that's an Epiphany Bridge story. So you can start that process with that piece of that origin story. So here's why I'm coming to you today. I have a friend of mine. I'm not a yoga studio owner, but I have a friend of mine who is, and my wife is a yoga instructor. And so I am very familiar with the yoga world and yoga studio owners. And I also know that it can be very, very difficult for yoga studio owners to make a fulfilling living doing what it is they're passionate about. It can be a real struggle. It can be, hard sometimes with figuring out how to manage staff, figuring out how to run your business and do all that. I'm very familiar with that aspect of things. And it became very personal when I had a yoga studio owner friend of mine who made a Facebook post sharing her painful story about how she was really struggling to keep all of her bills paid. And even though I knew she was in a program that was trying to help her figure out how to make her business more profitable, she was struggling to even make the payments to keep that coaching going. And that's when I said, I've got to get involved and I've got to help people do this in a better way. So I want to share more with you on this live webinar about how you can use about tips and tools that you can use to help build a successful, profitable yoga business with some new marketing that very, very few are doing today. And leave it at that. So that kind of opens that loop. I've started the story. I want to tell you more about this story on the live webinar. So please join me Saturday, where I'm going to share some more detail about what brought me into this world, brought me to this place, and my expertise in helping you to build a better and more profitable business. So that's kind of an example. That's not a great one. The stories, the open loops, really, really are kind of hard to say without specifics. So they're situational, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. But if you think back, if anybody was around long enough ago to watch the Dukes of Hazzard, it was always that, you always saw before they went to commercial, they were always in the middle of the air, right? The car was always jumping over a bridge and it's in the middle of the air. And then they cut to commercial. And then you've always got Waylon Jennings talking about, ooh, what's going to happen to the boys when they get to the other side? And then they cut to commercial. That's an open loop. It's well, I gotta watch the commercial now because I want to see, do they make it over this jump or not? Of course, half the time they, demolish the car in half on the jump and then they take off driving again. But that's an example of an open loop. Same thing with soap operas. They're great at the end of the scene, cutting to a point of high drama, and then they cut to commercial. That's an open loop. You want that point of high drama, and then you want to smash that drama on the other side. You want to close out that drama and open up more drama on the other end. So hopefully that helps a little bit. So that's kind of the point of this. We want that indoctrination secrets. We want to open some loops so that people are more likely to attend the live session. And even if you were to do this on auto webinar, it would be the same process. You want to get them to attend the actual training. You want to tell them what they're about to get without telling them everything about what they're about to get. You want to open the loop of, here's just a snippet of what you're going to learn, and open the loop so that when they're like, oh yeah, that sounds really cool. I'm really curious to learn more about that. But I can't learn it unless I actually attend. So then they're more likely to show up. That is one of the biggest things that's difficult for most people, and most people struggle with, is show up rate. Especially for a longer training. You're expecting people to show up and give you 90 minutes of their time, and they don't know you yet. So that can be a big ask. So you really have to do a good job of selling them to register, which is just giving up their email, right? They still haven't committed to showing up yet. They just committed to register, to say, yes, I would like to show up. I would like to attend. I would like to learn about this thing, but they haven't shown up yet. So the next step is, okay, great. Now you registered. Now I've gotten you in enough. I've hooked you with a strong enough headline to get you to give me your email address so that I can follow up with you and tell you about why you need to actually attend. And then the next step is you need to continue that process to hook them in, to continue to hook them, to continue to build that curiosity and that urgency and that scarcity so that they actually show up on the webinar. Because if you can get them to show up, then that's generally where about 50% of your sales are going to come in, somewhere between there, if you, for people that attended live. And then you'll get another, 50% or so throughout your replay sequence. And sometimes it can be a little less on the front end. And if you do a good job with your replay sequence and really have a strong cart close, you might get more sales on that back end of that actual replay sequence, the cart close. You might get more like 30% of your sales come from the live webinar, and another 70 come through the follow-up sequence. But a big chunk of your sales are generally going to come from people that attend live when you're doing a live webinar. So the more you can get to show up, the better your numbers are going to be. So that's kind of the structure. And, again, you just want to have the basics, basic footer, nothing too special here. But let's go ahead and clear this out. And let me fix one thing real quick. I've got, for some reason, every once in a while, my dock likes to pop up on my monitor. I don't need it here. I want it on my other one. So I've got to just toggle it back and forth, and now it will be gone. So that was kind of in the way. So sorry about that. So what we're going to do now, we're going to strip this out, because we're going to strip it out. We're going to rebuild it based on our template, kind of the pattern that we had picked from our other funnel. So we're just going to start deleting out these sections. So we start with a blank page. So we're deleting that. And now we have a blank page, right? And it's got this background on it that's not really, you can kind of just barely see, not even sure how well it'll show up in the videos, but there's like some squares and some circles and some triangles. Let me get rid of that background on this page. That's set on the page. So I'm just going to, actually, I don't want to do that. I want to wipe out that image. Okay, great. And now we're just starting with a, what may or may not, no, it's not even a white. I'm going to start with just a plain white background. I'm not quite sure why ClickFunnels sets it as a kind of a muted gray background to start with, but we want to start with a white one. And let's take a look real quick. Let me pull back in our confirmation page here. So we can kind of see we've got what we got here, similar to what we saw up on the registration page. We've got a bar at the top, and then we've got a section of, hey, you're confirmed. And this one is, again, video about the session, about the person that's presenting, and not quite, let's see if we can zoom this in a little bit. So yeah, so a little bit of an urgency and scarcity, warning, space is limited, and then we've got add to your calendar. And we've got the little add to calendar element here. So it kind of breaks down the time in the different time zones. This can be helpful, but most people can translate pretty easily to Eastern time. I think worldwide it's kind of, most people are associated with that, but that's people that might be more used to online sort of things. And so if that's not your audience, then you might want to be a little more specific. And then one thing that this one has that's a little bit different is an actual email address at the top. So kind of a support, hey, if you have questions, you can email us at, and put your email in there. So that's kind of a nice touch as well. We've got about the presenter, a little bit of a short biography, not too much, but a little bit of an intro, maybe a little bit of this could even be a good spot to put a little bit of a hook and a little bit of an open loop to get them to attend. And then And, you know, and this could be like the lead up, the very first part of a joke, right? You know, you lead up, and then somebody wants to hear the punchline. So if they want to hear the punchline, you gotta show it live. And then this one has a self-liquidating offer at the bottom. That's like, hey, wait before you go. And this is where you could put in, if you have one, a self-liquidating offer that goes to a separate order form, and then goes, because you'll have that sequence will be a little bit different, right, than your traditional. You'll have an order form, you'll have the offer, you probably won't have one-time offers. You could, but you probably won't. You probably just have, the goal of this one is to be just that, a self-liquidating offer. The whole point is just cover the cost of advertising. It's not to make profit, it is to break even. So that the money you spent to get this person to register gets offset by the purchase of this. And that's why this one's shown here at a $7 product. I've seen them anywhere from $7 to $27, but do not want to make this an expensive investment that somebody then has to question, do I have money to spend on the core offer? So yeah, so we got the basics here. So we've got what we want to look at is like, okay, well, what's kind of the structure of this? So obviously this top bar is a section because it's got a different color background. And we probably want to do the same. We don't want to do the logo on ours because we don't have a brand. The brand is not well known. We just want to have an urgency and scarcity bar at the top. I do kind of like this concept of having an email address that you can get information from. Need help? Have questions? Email me at blah, and have your email there. That's kind of nice. And then we have another section. So we've got 2 sections now. And then 3 sections, 4 sections with a footer. So we've got 4 sections that we need to add to the page. So we can go ahead and bounce back in and build those out real quick. So we've got, we want to add a new section. We want it to be a full width. All of these are going to be full width sections. And then we're going to do another one. So we'll just go ahead and do 4 full width sections. And this is kind of how I go through my process. Similar to what we did last week, we just go through and we just build up the structure. We start with the framework, right? We start with the frame of what it is we're doing. And so we build out our 4 full width sections. This top one is going to be our just a single column. Actually, it's going to be a 2-column row. And it might even be we'll split them down the middle. Actually, no, I probably want to do this. How do I want to do this? Because I don't know. Just thinking, I don't like this logo. This works well, the logo and email on the right as a 2-column row when you've got this. But I really like this to be kind of that urgency and scarcity, similar to what we have on our webinar our registration page up top is, hey, be sure to show up early. Seats are limited, you know, something like that. We may not need to play that too hard in there. I do kind of like this one where we've got that urgency and scarcity down below. So let's just do this as a 1-column row. And we can always adjust this if we need to. And let's do a headline. And let's put in, I think we registered support at Yoga. I think we did Yoga Funnels HQ or something like that, didn't we? I think that's right. And then let's go ahead and put this font size down a little bit, do like 20. And one thing that I want to do, and for those that aren't already familiar with it, you can actually make this link actually open up your email client by making it what's called a mail to link. So if we want to have that link be an email that somebody can actually click and open up their email comment, we just do mail to in the URL. Mail to, and then whatever the email address is, support@yogafunnelshq.com. And then we can pick a color, and I think oh yes, I haven't actually used this yet, but they changed the color picker here to actually give us colors based on things that are actually useful. You know, like that. It's an actual color picker, and we can put our own colors in here. This is really nice. It's much, much, much better than what it's been in the past. So there's a good one there. And actually, let's go ahead and open up while we're doing that so we can go back and forth and pick colors and whatnot. I'm going to open up our registration page in a new editor as well. And let me see if I can drag this bar somewhere. There we go. Now I can see a little bit better. You guys probably didn't even see that. That was the zoom control bar. It was sitting right in the middle of where I wanted to be. So this one, when we would go through and pick out our colors and all of that stuff, then we want to use, obviously, we want to make our theme and our colors match on this one. Same thing with our fonts. You want to make sure those are consistent throughout your entire process. Your registration to your confirmation to your order page to your replay room should be consistent colors and fonts. So people like to know, they want comfort, right? And they were comfortable with what we know. And so if they've been to your registration page and you've used certain fonts and colors on that registration page, you want to carry that throughout your theme. And you want that all of your pages to have a consistent font and color palette so that people feel comfortable. And you want your images, your imagery to be consistent and familiar so that when they come back to these pages, when they go from page to page, they feel like, yes, this is all part of the same process. I haven't been you know, duped here into going someplace else. This is not some fly by night that's sending me to somebody else's stuff. This is, yeah, this person that I've built a connection with from the registration page is still the same person I'm communicating with now, and the same person that's going to be presenting when I get onto the live session. So they have that feeling of consistency and comfortability. But we want to have this email address here. And so we've got that. And then I like to do something a little bit different. So we'll add to the front of this, and we'll do something like questions, question mark, email. There we go. Probably need a colon. There we go. Oh, need a little bit more in there. I do need email. There we go. We can do something like that. And then we can actually align this to the right. I kind of like that. And we'll probably want to kill off some of the padding on this. We don't need quite so much. I like to leave just a tiny bit so it makes it easier to work with in the editor. We can kill off some on our section and also some on our row because we're going to have plenty of padding there as well. Okay, great. And then, so that's our kind of our top bar, right? And then the next one, if we go back and look, our next one is our section that says, hey, congrats, you've booked. So that section has two one-column rows here for our header and our kind of sub-headline. And then we've got a two-column row below that that includes a video element. And then this is a Facebook, you know, like fan page thing. I'm not even sure that's a direct ClickFunnels element. That might be something custom. Then we've got another headline here with our urgency and scarcity. And then we've got an element that is called the feature image that has a little image feature and then a headline and then some text. So that's one element. And then we've got our right side row. And we'll notice this one has a white background around that column, right side column. And then we've got, you know, a bunch of, we've got a little image and a little head, little subhead, little headline, countdown timer, and then we've got a divider, it looks like, and then we've got a few elements here. So let's go ahead and start building this out. We need a couple of one-column rows. So let's jump in there. So we'll go into the section. In this section, let's actually grab us a little background because it had a background behind it, right? It's a full-page section, and we had a background behind it. So let's just grab real quick a little background. Let's see if we've got something that is got a little bit of a feel to it. Some of these are a little hard to see because they're so light. Let's just grab this kind of light gray one. We'll kind of mimic what they have, and then we want to set this to repeat, and then it's going to repeat horizontally and vertically. So we'll do that for now. I definitely want to pick something different than that for this section here in a little bit. But we need two one-column rows for our headlines. And so we're going to put in a headline. And you could do these all in one row if you wanted to, and we might just do that. So let's do, let's actually just clone this headline. Let's take a look here. So we've got one big headline and then one little subhead that below that. And let's do something like this is just, hey, congrats, you booked for the webinar. Congrats. Your spot is reserved. And then this one says, seat booking confirmation, successful booking. And I'm not really kind of sure with that, but you could do something like that. Be sure to attend the live session. Just leave it at that for now. give it a little breathing room, different font size. So let's bump this one up a little bit in size and the other one down. It's 32. Let's make it 42. And there we go. And then let's bump this one down just a touch. Make it like 28. We'll give it a little top margin, give it a little space, a little breathing room, a little 15. That looks good. Yeah, so that's kind of similar to what we have here. And then we've got a 2-column row below that. So let's add another row in here. And so we've got a 2-column. And this one's got a video and then headline and then a feature, an image feature. So let's do that. So we've got a video. Oh, that's an image. Sorry, wrong element. So we've got a video. And then we've got a, let's do a little paragraph. And then a feature image. Image feature, and there we go. Okay, we haven't saved in a long time, so let's go ahead and save and publish. Okay, so we've got our page saved now. And so we can kind of see, if we look back, we've got kind of got our similar structure going here. We've got a video, we've got this little paragraph about hey, the urgency and scarcity buildup, and then we've got our image feature. So we've kind of got that going. Let's do this left aligned. I like that better than being center aligned. And then let's go over and work on this right column. So in this one, we can kind of see we've got a little ticket icon up above. We probably actually got an icon that we can insert there. So let's just do an icon element. And let's do, and if we look and do a search for this icon, if we go in and look here and do a search, I believe there is a ticket icon right here. So we've got that. You can do an image if you wanted to. We can also bump that up. And then we've got, I think we had a little headline below that. So do a little sub headline, event ticket. And let's make that underline. I kind of like that. You can make that bold if you want to. I kind of like it not being bold. So we've got that. Maybe don't need as much padding above or margin above. So let's get that to 15. Okay. And then we've got again, a restatement of our hook, right? This is the event. They're registering for the event, our hook from the beginning. So let's go ahead and add a headline here. We've got our headline, and this one's going to be the session title, whatever our hook was from the beginning. In this case, how to, the 3 secrets for building a profitable yoga studio. It's super basic. Obviously, I would not go with that as live, but just something to give us an idea of what goes here. So this is our restatement of our hook from the registration page. Again, consistency. We want them to feel like what I saw on the front page, what I put my email address in for, is what I've received when I land to this page, this confirmation page. And then we've got a countdown. In this case, I probably want to restate here when the session is. So this is a countdown that just counts down to the event. So it's got the date below that. We've just got a countdown. So we could do that. So let's just build that out. So we'll go in and do a countdown. Our countdown is not going to be quite as interesting here today, since I had the original date of 08/10. Oh, I'll put the right numbers in, 2019. Okay, and then we picked 7 p.m. Eastern, I believe. And then, yeah, so that's our countdown. And then we had a little divider. So let's build out the divider. We've got a divider. I don't like them being 100% width. Let's make this more like 75%, and let's make it center aligned in this case. These things can be really useful. A lot of people don't use the divider much, but they can be really useful below headlines. And this is a little bit more of a modern, trendy thing to do, is to do something. You've got a headline like this, and you've got a divider that sits below that headline, right? And what you can do, and this helps to kind of separate things and do your, what we call, and we went through in session 2, I believe, what we call copy design. And so you can do a little more left align stuff. So we can make this headline left align, and then we could have this divider that sits below that. Come on, give me my settings. There we go. And we can make that divider be even like 30%. Make it big and chunky, 3 pixels, even 5 pixels if you wanted to. And then have it be left aligned and give it a little less margin. So it sits down below. So we think that it's just, this one is actually at 0. So no margin there. We might do like 5 pixels of margin. So it just kind of sets off that headline, right? And then you could go in with a paragraph of text below that that's now set off a little bit. And it kind of, again, highlights that headline. So we do this quite a bit. You'll see Russell do this more and more. Jake, our fantastic funnel designer, really likes this effect, and Russell really likes it as well. You can kind of play around with your styles there a little bit and kind of get that effect, but it just kind of gives that visual offset to, and kind of calls attention to the headline a little bit. So that's just something to play with. So just complete tangent on dividers. We don't see them used a whole lot, but this is a great use for them. So in this case, but we have one here to separate out our timer from our actual when the event is. Let's make this a little bit thicker, and then you can change the colors. So we can make that kind of a gray, maybe a lighter gray. There we go. And okay, and then let's get rid of this text here, and let's go ahead and recenter our headline, our hook. Let's get rid of a little bit of the margin on this one. And then the next thing we want to do is actually, now we've got our actual dates. When is the event? And we've got this kind of, different time zone things. That's an element that's actually built into ClickFunnels, and I don't use it much. So let's actually look and see which element it is. I believe it is our webinar miscellaneous elements. Well, we may have moved it. This pricing table, progress bar. Yeah, we may have actually removed it. All the timers. Okay, well, it's been like I said, it's been a while since I used this. We used to have an actual calendar event for our webinar confirmation pages, but it looks like they've been removed. So this one, let's make sure that, yeah, it says it's a webinar confirmation page. So just want to make sure that we're actually using the right page type, because that does sometimes change some of the functionality and the items that are available. And it does have webinar confirmation true. Oh, this actually shows as an auto webinar confirmation page, which is kind of unusual. Oh, you know what? That's because that's the template I picked. That's why it's not showing. That makes a big difference. Okay, so this is actually, so we've gone through this. We can redo this in just a few minutes, but I want to share something real quick. And I made a mistake in building this. We went to a webinar confirmation page, right? This is a live webinar, but the templates that you pick don't always pick up the right elements if they're not the right associated for the right page type. This one's a little weird, and I just want to make sure that we didn't mess something up. So I'm going to pick from a different, I'm going to go back and pick a different template here. So we want webinar, and I don't think this is a webinar thank you, webinar thank you. And so we can see this one kind of has that element built into it. So let's pick this one, and we'll do save page and continue, create page now. And now let's open this one up and see if that element shows up, because I think I might have picked a template that is the wrong type to start with. And so let's make sure that we don't miss out on something we could use here. So this one looks like this is an image feature element. So let's see if our elements here, and they may have just been, it may have removed it because it wasn't a super useful tool before. Yeah, it looks like it's actually just been removed. We used to have a tool that was a calendar that would show your dates. It was specific to webinars and or live webinars and auto webinars, where you could put in the time and it would actually generate some elements for you. Looks like that's been removed. So that solves that issue. So it shows you how long it's been since I've actually set one of these up using templates. So let's go ahead and get rid of this page, because we'll continue building on our others. So delete this page variation. moving, there we go. And so now let's jump back into our page. Okay, so we've got this. And so what we want to do is we want to add probably a little headline. Let's do a little subhead. And we're going to put our date in, August 10, 2019 at 7 p.m. Eastern. So we've got that there, and then let's look at this again. We've got kind of the dates. There's actually some code. We won't jump through it today, but I'll show you in a later session some of the code we can run through with CF Pro Tools that actually gives you an add to calendar element. So inside of CF Pro Tools, I'm going to open up my account there and I'll show you where that element's at. Well, if we're going to be in here, might as well just grab it real quick. It's been a while since I installed it, so we'll just run through it. Get logged in here. And so inside of, and let's see, and it's going to show up a few times. Trying to remember if it's in the free section or the paid section. We had add to calendar. Here we go. This is the one I'm looking for. And so this one, let's just grab this. We're going to grab all this code. Looks like I need to update this one to use in a gist. So select all, and copy. I'm going to go open up a, oh, I've got all my editors down in the doc here. So I'm going to minimize that one. Got to get the right one here so I don't mess up my stuff. I want that one. Okay, so let's open up a new window. There we go. Okay, and I want to paste this code in. So this is the add to calendar event code. And what we want to do is we want to go through and we want to configure this. So we've got our 2019 is our start time. So 2019, and this is going to give us the ability to use an add to calendar button or links that we can actually use so that when somebody clicks them, it will actually pop up and add to the calendar on iCal if they're using iPhone or something like that, or on Google, or if they're using Outlook, which a lot of people still use evidently. I've been using it for years. But it's 2019-08 and 10, and it is at 1900, and it's the time zone is America, New York, which is Eastern time, so that's what we want. It's at 1900, which is 7 p.m. So we've got that right. So 2019 in time, we're going to count this for 2 hours, 8, 10, and then we're going to say 21. Okay, and then we want to put our hook name in here. Yoga Studio, whatever our hook was of what we're going to be presenting, we're going to put that in here. We do the same thing in the description, location, you know, if it's going to be Zoom, and your name, and then email, but you know, support at yogafunnelshq.com, and then the link. It's going to set up this. Don't worry about this link. It's going to stay the same for everybody. In most cases, this is to the actual add to calendar service. And it's going to go through and it's going to look for elements that have this as the URL. Okay, so we're going to build links out that have iCal, Google, and Outlook. So, or image links that have that same thing. So let's jump in now, and we've got our code. So we're going to copy the code. And bear with me because it's been a long time since I've used this element, so it might, hopefully it still all functions properly. And we've got that, so we pasted that into our footer codes, and now we can actually build, let's do another sub headline and do add to calendar. And, oh, like that, and then actually, yeah. So we can give this a little extra padding above. So we'll do that. And then let's put another subhead down below that. And in this one, we're actually going to have our 3 links. We're going to say iCal, and then what we can do is actually now add this link, and in the link, it's looking for hashtag Outlook, hashtag, which is kind of an old style of doing this. Again, we have got our new fancy link color picker, so we can pick our link colors. That's beautiful. Let's close this down. We've got another one, create another link. We're gonna do the same thing, the hashtag, Google, hashtag, pick our color. Great, close that down. And that, link it. Another hashtag, iCal. Pick our color. And there we go. So now we've got that set up. And so now we've got an add a calendar link, or add 3 add calendar links from there. And that should pop up. We can get rid of some of this padding. Maybe 5 pixels would be good. There we go. And then we could, if we wanted to, even make these, make this text color same or similar for our little pipes in between. So now we've got, I might want to make this one bold so it stands out a little bit more. Select everything within here. Make that bold, jump through there. Okay, great. And then let's look at and see what else we've got here. Yeah, and that's the actual little add to calendar drop-down box here. So that's good. And then, so now we've got our section down below. Let's not worry about this section because we're not going to do a self-liquidating offer on this one. We'll want to run through and actually get the rest of this funnel built out, but we can go back and revisit self-liquidating offers in another session, or maybe even in a bonus session would probably be a good one for that. So we probably don't need this section here, but let's do a footer section. And in the footer, we can do maybe just a little background color, maybe like a light gray like this. And then we need a 1-column row. Do a 1-column row. And we're going to do, I'm going to set my text color on this one to be white, since I know it's a dark background. And now whenever I add new elements, if I add a new headline element, it's going to set my background color as, or my color there is white. So let's do, again, copyright 19. HQ. And then I like to do all rights reserved. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't play one on TV. That's just kind of what I do. And then we'll put this in here and we'll make this a little bit smaller. 16, I think that's pretty good. So again, we want to make sure we pull in, oh, the one thing that we didn't do that we see on this one is that this one's got this white background behind it. So a lot of people miss how to do this. And this is kind of, if they've got things working properly with our columns again, we'll just see. If we go through and look at this one, we just need to make, we just have 2 columns here. We want to make the column of this one be white, the background of this side be white. So if we go to our columns, and then go to columns, it's going to pull up our list of columns. Then we should be able to, fingers crossed, they've got this little bug fixed. Not quite, which is, okay, so now we're not too bad. Now we can actually pick the background color for just this column. So we make this background color that, and then we can actually add in some padding here to give us a little extra padding at the top. So that we've got that there. We can even go in and add some of the advanced things like corner radius. We can make that 5-pixel corner for that column. We could even give it a little border if we wanted to make it stand out. We could say, okay, well, let's do like a light gray border, but let's make it dashed, make it pop a little bit. We could even do a little standout color like a yellow or something like that. Or we could use our blue that we've been using or something like that to make it pop a little bit. So that it stands out that, like, hey, this is what you need to pay attention to over here. So in fact, let's pick this blue up here. So if we pick this blue, let's pick this color. So, and now let's make that our border color. So again, we'll go back to columns. And then we hover over and we know we can see our column is surrounded in that blue border. So it's our right side column here. We click on that, and then we can go in and let's pick the, go to advanced, and then pick the color here. And we're gonna just paste that in. And now we've got that same blue. So now our blue is kind of consistent. And so that's kind of what we've got. So that's our structure. We kind of built out similar to what we have here. Now this one's got our self-liquidating offer block down below with a little bit of a luxury image below it. We could do that. We could do an image here behind this. We could, and that, that's something we could definitely do instead. Again, to pull that theme in, we could go and we could look and say, again, last time we did kind of a search, we did unsplash, and then we could do something like yoga. We did a search and it could pull up, some images here. I think we might have even picked, that might have been one of them, or something with like a kind of a dark background might be kind of nice. We've got our white, background behind everything. We could do something like this. It's just kind of a cool looking image. And get rid of the repeat, and we want to do, we could do full center parallax. That kind of makes it look a little bad. Let's do 100% width, 100% width and height. We want something that actually looks, oh, how did that image get so small? I think that image is not actually very good quality to begin with, so let's pick a different one. Let's go to our search. Kind of want a little bit of a higher quality picture. Let's just see what this one looks like. Yeah, it's still going to be blurred out a little bit. So you want to pick obviously images that are high res enough to actually serve as your background and do something like this full center parallax. It doesn't look too bad. And so then you want to obviously do some text treatment here. So we want this text to be white, so it pops out. And then because we've got some spots that are lighter and some that are darker, what I like to do when I have that scenario is actually go in and I do a text shadow and set it to a strong text shadow. So now your text kind of jumps out, and it's still readable even though you've got some that's on a lighter background, because that shadow lets it stand out. So you kind of play around with your shadows there a little bit and see which one does the best. And then we can do the same thing here. We should also have our text shadow option on this. Image shadow, no, we may not have text shadow built in. So we can increase our font, our text size there a little bit, and pick our image size. Okay, let's pick our image. I'm just kind of playing around with some of these things. So if we pick our image, let's pick something like, see if I've got any good headshot images here. Anything that's already square. With these images, we want them to already be square. So here, I'm just going to pick this one of Rachel Pedersen, and kind of want them to be, if you're going to use the round, because that's one of the things you can pick, right, is for the image itself is to actually make it be a circle. So it's one option. So there you go. And you could have it have a border. So you do a dark, we can do a light, let's do a white, like that. And then we want our, if we go in here and actually click, we might get some more settings here. Maybe not. No. So we want our headline color, we want that to be white, and we want our text to be white. Okay, but what we're going to do is we're actually going to play around with a little custom CSS right here. We don't have to do a whole lot, but a little. And let's actually bump this font size up just a little bit. This is going to be our urgency and scarcity. In fact, let's jump through and run through that real quick. Let's just say, let's throw this out. And so let's say important. Note. And then something like that. Be sure to show up early so that you secure your spot. Let's make this bold. Okay. And I might even make that. Let's play with this color just a little bit. Let's bump the font size up just a little bit. Important note. And instead of making that white, let's make it a little bit of a lighter gray color. I like that even less. So I think white is the way to go. I would play with this image to get an image that has a little bit more of what I need. I even might darken that out a little bit. You might even put a little bit of a background behind this to fade that out. We could go with our column. Again, we could go and we could say, okay, for this side of the column, I want to give it a background color. I want to make it black, but I want to fade it out. So it gives me, I want to maybe make it, 30% opaque, so it gives me a little bit of background. And there I could probably go in and do the same thing, give it similar treatment where I've got, a 5 pixel rounded corners, and maybe I've got some padding, make it match up with what we had on our right side column. We can do a little something like that. There we go. And then that makes that a little bit easier to read. So we could do something like that. We could probably get rid of, this has probably got some top margin, no, it doesn't. So we could probably get rid of that margin, the padding that we just added in. Just kind of play around with the settings there to get what you want. But this could be enough for this image. But let's go ahead and save this out, and let's hey, we're going to learn how to do this stuff. Let's learn how to do this stuff. We're going to jump in and write some custom CSS real quick, just to show how that we can change, add the text shadow to this element, just like we have up here. Since it's not a setting in ClickFunnels specifically for this. And so we want to, since there's not a search for this, or I'm sorry, since there's not a text shadow for this image feature element, but there is for this, let's kind of use some of the settings and apply them to both spots. So let's go ahead and say, we'll do a preview. And I'm just reading, looking at the chat here real quick. And Jeremy says, ran in a search will let you insert the preview image. You have to double click to add the image to your ClickFunnels account, then insert it into the page. Thanks, Jeremy, appreciate that. Yeah, I think that's what I did, is I inserted the kind of thumbnail from Unsplash versus the full-size image. So, because this one definitely looks much better. So that's a good note. Something important for everybody to see as well is that if you're using the search, make sure that the image you're inserting is actually the full-size image and not just that thumbnail. So I think I double-clicked the thumbnail and it didn't, and then I went straight back into the page versus making sure it was selected as the image. So what we want is we want to look at what's causing this text shadow on this headline, and then see if we can add it to this same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, I'm going to kind of copy or right-click on this text here that has the shadow I want. I'm going to click on Inspect, and that's going to pull up my page inspector. And let's get rid of this. And then it should highlight for me the element that I had picked. And I can look at this element here, and I can go over into the site, and I can see that I've got text shadow here. That's my CSS rule that's adding a text shadow to that element. And it's just because I've got the class of HS text shadow 2 applied to this element, right? So if I have that on visible and I hover over that element, I can see that I've got that highlighted. So that means this is the element that I'm hovering over. I can see it highlighted in blue up above, and I've got a couple of styles, and one of those just happens to be called text shadow. So that's what we want. We want to apply that same text shadow, but to this element. So let's grab this text shadow rule right here. So let's go ahead and grab this, and we can actually copy this whole thing. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to open up my editor here, and I'm going to go ahead and open this up, and I'm going to paste it in. So now we have that copied and saved. So let's jump back in, and now let's see how can we find a rule that applies to this element. So let's take a look at that one. So if we right-click on that element again and click Inspect, so I can see here that I've got, let's just kind of wrap up the screen. So we've got an H3 in here. That's our headline. but we probably don't want to just grab it and apply it to any H3. We could say, well, any H3 has the text or the class of EL screenshot text headline, and we could probably grab the B within that and apply the text shadow. But let's bounce up to a couple of levels. So we can see a bunch of these things are nested within each other. So we've got the image here. We've got an EL image feature class. So that could be interesting. We could try that. And then we've got, if we go up even one more level, we've got this, we've got a data DE type of feature image. And then we've got our ID. So which we can grab out of ClickFunnels as well. If you've not used the ID feature in ClickFunnels, you can actually click the settings and go to the little hashtag icon, get CSS info, and then it'll pop up a box and you can actually grab the CSS ID selector here. So you can copy that. So let's go ahead and paste that in here as well, just so we have it for quick reference. So if we wanted to, that would be one quick way to add this. So if we were to just do this, grab that ID, because we just want to apply it specifically to this image feature on the page, right? We'll paste that in. Let's copy this and see what happens. So we've got our text shadow rule from our other element, because we want the text shadows to match, right? So now if we go into custom CSS, and let's, we deleted everything out already. So let's delete that stuff. And then we're gonna paste this in, because we blanked everything out, right? Could you also try adding a class to that element? Jeremy says, could you also try adding a class to that element? Yes, you absolutely could. I always hold modifying the in the console within ClickFunnels. So with ClickFunnels, there's not a way to add a custom class to that element. Now you might see that if I click on here and I click on my Get CSS Info, I see custom classes down here. I've got a special extension that I built that adds this setting onto ClickFunnels. It doesn't actually exist. The setting's not there in ClickFunnels. So sorry if that seems a little confusing, but you can't actually add custom classes in ClickFunnels. You can only write custom CSS. And because we don't have the class automatically applied to this element, we have to modify this, this page here. Although, yeah, and you can actually see now that we have our shadow applied. So if we save this now and preview it, since we can't add custom classes to specific elements, and I'm not ready to kind of release that to the world yet, since we can't add that custom class easily in ClickFunnels without overriding things with the console, then we have to kind of rely on IDs or data titles, things like that. And so, yeah, Jeremy saw the custom class box. Yeah, sorry about that. That is not, if you go and look at yours right now, you won't have that same thing. That's there just because I have a fancy little extension up here called CF Pro Tools that gives me some extra features that I built out. So I've got some custom JavaScript that allows me to do that. That will come eventually, and I will make that available for everybody. So we'll add that feature in, but it doesn't exist yet today. So if we now do that, and then we go back to our preview, now we have no text shadow, and now when it reloads, we've got text shadow. So that was simple enough. We just took it, it picked up all the text in here and applied the shadow to the text. So now we've got text shadow in there. So that's probably the simplest and easiest way. We just want to apply it to the one additional element. So we just grab the ID, simply just grab the ID, grab the rule from our element that already has it, and then we apply that same rule to that particular ID. And now we've got a text shadow on that. So that's looking pretty good. And that makes this definitely much easier to read. So you could do something like that. Again, we probably want to have some consistency in the design, imagery and stuff like that from page to page. Let's actually see if our add to calendar works here. So let's pick Google. And it is not working for some reason. I probably have an error somewhere. So I would want to play with that. No errors, but it's not doing something like it's supposed to do. Oh, you know what? I don't think I actually named it. And Jeremy says, yeah, I want to say I've done it by using the inspector in the editor tab and edit as HTML. Yeah, absolutely, you can. And that's, we do that. I do that at last resort because what happens is when you do that, and just so everybody else understands what we're talking about here, if I right click on this image, this element here, and go to inspect, I'm inside the editor. I'm inside the editor here, but I can still inspect this element. And I can still go up and I can still find, okay, where's my element here? Okay, so now this is my element, right? Let's get this up here. So if I hover over, it's going to show me that element. Okay, great. That is my image feature element. And I've got classes right here, right? And so I could right click, and you don't even need to do edit as HTML. You can actually just do this. And it was like HS text shadow 2 was the class, right? And then if I do that, and now if I go in and remove, I'm just going to comment out my custom CSS so that it's no longer being applied. I should have that same text shadow. See, this text shadow is still there because I've actually applied that class. The same class that I have on this element is applied here. And so the same styles are picked up on that element inside there. When I save this page, then that same thing will apply. So even though I've taken out the custom CSS, I still have that rule applied. But that's because I've directly edited the HTML that the editor has generated for me. I've edited it directly in console. And the way ClickFunnels works is that it will take whatever HTML you put in here into your page, except for some special chunks. It will take it and it will save it into the database in ClickFunnels on the back end. And like Jeremy says, proceed at your own risk. You're absolutely right, because you could break your page and never be able to recover it. So that's kind of why I use it as a last resort. If I really, really, really need a custom class on something, I will do that. But what I generally will do instead is I will go and say, instead of using a custom class, I like to use the actual get CSS info and use the title. And I would do something like CF text shadow. Oh, can't spell it. Wrong fingers on the wrong keys. Text, oh boy, shadow 2. And I would do update here. And now I would go in, let's edit this because I want to, actually, don't want to edit with the settings sidebar out because that gets really goofy. Let's take out our custom class. So if I go back up here and I double click on this, it's going to highlight that for me. And I double click again and take that one class out and enter to save. Now I don't have a text shadow anymore. No more text shadow. And yeah, Dan says, I try to remember to inspect in the preview, not the editor, to keep from accidentally saving bad code, bad in air quotes. Yep, absolutely. It can be dangerous to inspect in the editor. If you change something, then you are likely to save those changes and cause some problems if you're not 100% sure what you're doing. So now, but we're back in custom CSS. So I'm going to get rid of the inspector here entirely. We're back to where we started, no text shadow. And now, when we take this comment out, it's going to apply back automatically because it's in my ID, right? But now, let's say I want to do this kind of like what you would do a custom class. And this is turning real quickly into a whole custom CSS section, but we'll move on pretty quickly from this one. What I want to do is do data-title, and I like to do star, which means contains, star equals contains the phrase CF text dash shadow 2. And then in my square brackets. And now that's kind of the same as you would apply a custom class, right? So this says, give me any element where the data title, which is our CSS title, is set to CF text shadow 2 or contains CF dash text dash shadow 2 and apply a text shadow to it. So now we can see we have a text shadow on this. If I go in and I change this CSS title to CF text shadow 3 and update, you'll notice my text shadow goes away. So that's kind of like applying your own custom class. And I use that quite a bit. I use that in my custom code for JavaScript, for jQuery. I use that in my custom code for CSS as well. And the good thing about that is then we could go to this one and we could say, I don't want any text shadow on this. I want no shadow. And that shadow is going to go away. And I'm just going to save real quick. So we can see that shadow is gone. We've got no shadow here. But now if I go to the same element and I go get CSS info and I go to it and I put CF text dash shadow 2 and click update. Now that one has the same text shadow. So I've applied that same style, this one rule that I have in here. This one rule is applying to multiple elements. And so I could put all of my paragraphs and I could put, different, I could add the ones that I want to have a shadow, everything in one column has a shadow, whatever you want to do, I could put that all in one. And that's kind of like using a custom CSS class. That's what the purpose of a custom class is, right? To be able to have one rule that applies to multiple elements. So that's what we've got going. So let's not mess around with this whole calendar thing. I'll get that fixed up and working in CF Pro Tools. We've got some, it's been a long time since I've installed this, but you would want to have some sort of an added calendar. There's a couple of different ways to do that. But this is pretty much our page built out, right? Without a self-liquidating offer on it, this is what we have. Again, the video we'd want to talk about, it's kind of an indoctrination, a little bit more about me, why you should attend, a little bit more about my story, and open some loops and draw them in to the live session. So we've got now our webinar registration page built out, and we've got our webinar confirmation page built out. Again, these aren't beautiful by any stretch of the imagination. So but we don't want to spend too much time fine-tuning everything. Let's actually get the structure built out and get our actual funnel built out. So the next step is, the next thing that we want to do is we want to build a replay page, right? So we've got this page built, and we want to, once the live session is done, so if we wanted to right now, we could run traffic to this and get people to register and get people going. Because the things that we need, we set up last week, we set up Zoom, we set up this week, last week as well, we set up the connection with the webinar registration page and Zoom. So we're gonna get people getting the email reminders from Zoom of how to show up on the webinar. We've got Zoom set up to actually host the webinar, and we can go in there and start the webinar, and we can record the webinar and all that. And then we've got a confirmation page to tell people what to expect. And so we're set really to be able to run this live event at this point. But we know the next things that we're going to do is that we're going to want people that couldn't attend the live session or did attend the live session and want to watch again. They didn't buy yet. We want them to buy. So we're going to send them to a replay session. And so what we'll do is we'll record the session that we do live. We'll record that with whatever tool we're using, but in this case, we're using Zoom. I recommend recording to the cloud. You can also record locally, but sometimes that recording locally, it actually does pretty good. It doesn't, I've not noticed it slow my computer down, but if for some reason you're using an older computer, has a small hard drive, or might not have quite the speed, you might present just fine. But if you're also recording on that same device, it might slow things down just a little bit. So I like to record in the cloud. That way, as the traffic's going back and forth between you and from Zoom, Zoom is actually capturing that video and recording it to the cloud at the same time. So I usually record the cloud, and sometimes if your computer crashes or it doesn't export properly at the end, then you might fail. But they've got, obviously, the cloud system all built to do that sort of thing and optimized for that. So I like to make sure it's recorded in the cloud until it fails me, and then I'll probably switch directions. But for now, I always record in the cloud. And in fact, you can see on this one, you may not be able to see it, but it may show you this session is actually being recorded right now, and it's got a little cloud around it with a blinking red dot. That means, at least I see that, it's being recorded to the cloud. That lets me know I can look at that at any time and let me know that it's actually being recorded, which is very important. And so now we want to be able to take that recording and we want to be able to put it on a replay so we can send people back to that recording to watch again, and then the recording will that page that they watch the recording on will have a big old buy button on it, as well as we'll tell them in the live webinar, go to this URL, go to the order form URL that you set up, probably something like yogafunnelshq.com/go or start or now, and they'll be able to go to that and actually place an order. So we'll want a button on that page that lets them buy the product, that takes them to the order form and actually lets them buy. So let's go ahead and click Add New Step. And these are usually pretty simple. We're going to call this replay page. And yes, we want it in the funnel. So we're going to go ahead and add this. And so now we've got a replay page. And now let's jump in, and we'll go to webinar. And actually, this one doesn't even really need to be a webinar broadcast room, although we could do that. A replay page will work as it's got pretty much the same thing. So if we want to pick one of these templates that has this built out, we can do that. It's kind of already got all the structures and everything. but you can also just make it as an opt-in page or make it as a sales page. It really doesn't matter which type. You don't need anything else other than opt-in or sales, or you could do a miscellaneous page and do that, because really all it is a video and a button, a timed section. And I prefer to do, on my replay pages, I prefer to do the button, have it be timed, so that when somebody goes back to watch the replay, if they weren't on the live session, that they actually don't see the button until they would have seen heard it in the offer in the first place. So in this one, we've got a few of these that look pretty nice that are already built out. But again, you might just start out with a basic one too. So let's actually start out with a blank. I'm just going to start out with a blank, fresh page. Since we've deleted everything out, this one we can actually do a blank page. And then let's look and see what we've got here, because we've got a replay page here. And so this is actually an indoctrination sequence. Let's see. Yes, here's a webinar replay page. And so again, this one I actually like, but it's super plain, right? It's got the limited time replay. It's got a countdown for how long the replay is available. This one says, hey, it's only available for 24 hours. You might want to do, hey, the replay is available the day after your webinar, and whatever your cart close is, hey, this replay is only available for the next 2 days, and then I'm going to take it down. This is limited availability. Again, urgency and scarcity. You want to actually take it down, make it unavailable, make the timer redirect to the order form, whatever. But you could put that, put that countdown timer on there, a video, and then a section below that is that shows this stuff on a time delay, so it doesn't pop up until the offer is actually presented. So let's go ahead and build out something like this. And so let's jump into our page. And let's go ahead, and we've got a section here somewhere. There we go. Let's just delete out this section and we'll start complete from scratch again. And again, we've got 1 section, 2 sections, 3 sections, 4 sections. So let's do that real quick. We're just going to add new section, full width. And the other thing we can do is add section this way and do full width and drag and drop. So drop there, add section, drag and drop there. So just so you know, there's multiple ways to skin the cat on this one. Most often people do exactly what they are used to. Dan says real quick in the chat, he says, do you set the timer to X minutes from page load, or do you use the JS to set the timer to X minutes played in the video? I actually have some custom code that I usually use to set it based on the video view. The ClickFunnels version, if you just use the time delay, and that's what we'll build, I'll show you today. And then when we get into the custom JavaScript section, some of the things we can do, I'll show you how to do the version that's tied to the video, because that's built out specifically for depending on which video player you're using, whether it's Wistia or Vimeo or YouTube, then it can tie into the actual time played in the video. I prefer to use Wistia, especially for replays, Wistia or Vimeo, because they're hosted and they don't show related videos. They don't, they're not going to try and get somebody off of your platform and onto theirs like YouTube does. But yeah, so the out of the box with ClickFunnels is the timer for the delay is set to how long they were on the page. That's all that they care about, is how long since the page load. So you kind of have to hope for the best, but it doesn't need to be exact. But if you do the video play, then that's definitely you can tie it exactly. And yeah, Dan says I've done that with videos on S3. Absolutely, yep. You can do it with your own custom videos, however you want to do it. So we've got our 4 sections here. So let's bounce back in. So we've got our little white border at the top, or a little white bar at the top, and that one's got a 2-column row. And again, well, actually, added the 1 column. You probably don't even need. Yeah, actually, I think having a 2-column is the way to go. So let's add just a 2-column row, and let's do a little subheadline here, and let's do this align to the right. Replay expires in, and then yeah, and then I might even do that as bold. live webinar replay expires in, and then on this side, we'll do our countdown. Go countdown, and then we can do this countdown to a specific day. So if this was, say, this is August 10th, so 8/10, 2019. So let's say we put our replay up the following day. So we did a live webinar 7 p.m. today. So we're going to make the replay available tomorrow, which is the 11th, and then we want it to be available for 2 days after. So we might say like the 13th, 2019, and it comes down we want it to come down at midnight. So if we do that, we actually need to make it the 14th at 12 a.m. That'll actually take it down at midnight on the 13th. So we'll set that, and then so we can give this just a little bit of padding, or top margin, I should say. You could do give that a little top margin on that side. That way it evens up with this. We can maybe even adjust the this one comes in different sizes. So let's see if we want this to be small. So yeah, so we could make this small, and let's make this align over to the left. And then let's see what kind of themes we have here for this one. So let's see if anything jumps out. I kind of like, maybe if we were to do this red one here, then we need to adjust our size again. Small. Yeah, I don't like that so much. It's a little too big. Even at small, it's a little too big. This one kind of matches our colors a little bit. But even small, I think, that's not too bad. If we get rid of some of our padding, it might be okay. So let's give this a little bit more margin. Trying to even these things out a little bit. Okay, and then let's get rid of this row. Let's get rid of some of the padding on this row. So give this like 5, 5. Okay, let's see if we can get rid of some of the margin or the padding in this section. Okay, so yeah, so that looks pretty good. Okay, so that's our top bar. And then we got our video section. So let's add in a little background. Let's do a little pattern on this one, just something we already have built out. So we got a background here. We had some patterns in here. I'm not sure even what texture. Some of these are really, really hard to see. Here, let's do something like that. And let's do repeat. There we go. And then let's do, we need a 1-column row that just has nothing but our video. And so we're gonna add our video element in here, and we add video. So we've got our video playing. Oop. And so let's look again, we've got that. And then we've got we've got another section here, we've got our background image. So we could do, again, let's jump in, let's throw an image in here. And let's pick this one. This is the one we used from our other, and let's do, click the wrong thing. Let's do this one as a fill width. Okay, and now this one, we want to have 1-column row. Let's look at our structure here. So we got 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows. Let's call this a 2-column row here. Yeah, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. So we've got 1-column row there. So let's put a headline in that one. Actually, let's do this. Text color white, okay. And then we can always adjust that later, but at least it starts out with making it a little bit easier. We'll do a subheadline, okay, and we're getting there. And then let's do another, now we've got another, actually let's do a separate row for the button, just so we have a little more control over it. So we'll do another row here, and then we'll add an element. So we've got a button, and then let's add a 2-column row, and now we're going to add images. So I'm going to add an image, and then I'll clone. I'll drag one of them over here, And then let's see if we've got some reasonable trust seals here. You can grab these things from a lot of different places, but we've got some stock ones. So we've got, this one here. They're not great. These aren't great ones, but this one is good for, hey, we accept credit cards. But we've got, we've got badges. Kind of click on team guaranteed, quality, limited time, social. So let's just do guarantee. Let's make this one set a type to say 200. That's great. And then we want to align that one to the right. And then this one, let's grab our credit card image. Oh, sorry, this is not what we want. We want this. And then let's look at our stock again and look at our miscellaneous and grab this top image here. That's our credit cards. And let's do this one aligned to the left. And this is going to look really kind of goofy for a while. I would go back and redo this definitely. But this will work for now. We're going to do this aligned to the left. And then we can just give this one some top margin. So, okay. So, and I might even make this one, shorter, do like 100% or 100 pixels instead of 200. And then, and then we can adjust this one down, probably make it more like 35. There we go. Probably bring that over like that. Makes them look a little more centered. So, okay, good. And now this one, obviously, I would want to bump up this font size greatly, make this button great big, and something like I'm ready to. Get started. Something like that. And then again, we can go in and we can set our button so that it is fill width. But because we put it in a separate row now, we can shrink the size of our row down. So we have the ability to make our button be wider than normal, but not ridiculously full width of the row. So we've got that. I like to do a little extra vertical space. So if we do the button here and we go to settings and go to vertical space, we can add a little bit more there. We can probably make it like 20. So now our button is a little bigger and chunkier. You can definitely play with the button themes. We've actually got some new button themes installed. If you haven't looked recently, we've got flat buttons, blue buttons, pill buttons. These flat button and pill button are the ones that have been recently requested by Jake, our designer. These are definitely a little more trendy. The pill button, definitely for sure, is you're seeing that make a resurgent. That used to be the big thing, but now it's kind of gone away. But the flat button is definitely a lot more common on a little more trendy sites. I am a big fan of the green 3D button. I think it looks great, but then you would have to make some adjustments to the settings because it will update all the settings. So now we can go back to our fill width. And the vertical space is kind of already there. You can add more to this one, but it's already got some additional padding. So you'll notice there that it changes if we change the settings. So now we can add back. So as I kind of already set the 20 with the classes applied there. And then you might have to look at our actual, so our font size is good there. And you could have some subtext if you wanted to. I'm super excited. And then you could, set that to be a little bit bigger as well, something like that. The one thing I always recommend is when you're looking at these things, make sure you look at them on mobile as well, because you can adjust with your text elements and with your button elements. You can adjust the mobile-only font sizes. And so make sure to take advantage of those. Instead of duplicating, what a lot of people will do is they'll duplicate the elements and make one desktop only and one mobile only. That's okay, but both of those elements still exist on the page. So there's still, it increases the size of the HTML that gets downloaded to the browser. But if you just set the mobile font sizes, that generally solves the majority of the problems that you would see with mobile optimization just by adjusting the text size. And then you have just one copy of the element, and then you don't have to worry about, well, if I change copy in one place, I got to change it to both buttons. See, a lot of people forget that they even have a mobile-only version, and then they don't know how to go back and change things. They don't know why things are broken. They don't know why somebody went to the wrong place because on mobile only because they forgot to change the link in multiple places. So use these as much as possible and avoid creating duplicates of your elements as much as possible. The one place where you might want to do mobile specific versions of things are elements like this with images, where you on desktop, a bigger image looks better, and you need to, you're laying them out so that they can be stacked. But then when you get to a mobile, it might be better to have a single image instead of double images. And it might be better for them not to be stacked. So you might create different variations of that. But that's a session we'll go through all on mobile optimization. But just some things to think about there. So let's go bounce back to our sample here. So extremely limited time offer. You know, that's actually a really good one. We want to reinforce that this is a limited time, extremely limited time offer. And then we've got something 100% money back guarantee, only 100 slots available. This will sell out fast. Again, also good. 100% money back guarantee. Only 100 seats available. Okay, so these are all good things, right? So these are reversing. A couple of them build urgency and scarcity, and this 100% money back guarantee is a risk reversal. So this is one of the things that you're handling objections before they even come up. So it's called a risk reversal. You're taking, as the seller, you're taking on all the risk because somebody could come in and buy your product and they they bought the product. But you as the owner have said, hey, if you're not happy, I will give you your money back. I'm taking on all that risk so you don't have to take any risk. So that's a common objection. It's like, well, yeah, but what if it doesn't work for me? What if I don't like it? Or what if I just want my money back? Then you give them that guarantee, like, hey, if you don't like this, if it's not for you, if it doesn't do exactly what you say, exactly what I told you it's going to do, then I will give you your money back. So this is how you set up and kind of squash that objection before they ever have it. So you put it right in here. And that's why it's also part of the presentation. You should talk about that. Hey, okay, so here's the thing. It's not about the money. Your money is not going to change my life, but this can change your life. So if you have any concerns, there's 100% money back guarantee. So it's just $997. And if it's not for you, then it's not for you. And just let me know and we'll give you money back. And then the other two are all about urgency and scarcity, only 100 seats available. That means, hey, there's only a limited number of spots. There's a lot of people on, and a lot of people are going to want this. There's only so many available. It could be 20, could be 25, 50, 100, whatever, or it's only available for the next 48 hours. There's a bunch of ways you could do that urgency here. And then the scarcity, and this is also scarcity, right? This is kind of, hey, there's only so much available. So it's kind of the scarcity play, and then this will sell out fast. That's kind of the urgency. Like, you have to get on this because by the time, if you sit around and wait, it's going to be sold out. So we want to build those things in. And then the thing is we can do a couple things here. We can do set our delay. Let's actually build out our footer here first. So let's set a dark color on our background color for our footer. Let's just do this kind of gray here. And let's set our font color to white. And then let's add in, again, our headline to have a little bit of a footer in there. So we're going to add a 1-column row. And then we're going to add an element. We're just going to make it let's just make it a paragraph element. And we'll get everything in there and we'll just do copyright 2019 yoga funnels, yoga funnels HQ, all rights reserved. And so we've got that. And then what we can do is actually set this entire section, set this to have an animation delay. Okay, so we can say timed delay. And we can set this to fade in or fade in with scale. Fade in is just it becomes visible. Fade in with scale is it kind of pops in size and then shrinks back down to regular size, and then it stays visible. So I like fade in here. And then you could say, okay, so at minute number 72 in my presentation, I start my stack, I start my offer. and I tell people there's something available to buy. So I want, when they're at minute 72 on the page, I want this to pop. So we're going to say 72 minutes in, and you can also do seconds, but we're going to make this pop. And so let's just take a quick preview. And so now, and we'll eventually pull up a dead video, but you'll notice we don't have that section at all. It's not there. If we sat on this page for 72 minutes, which we won't do, then we would see that fade in, that whole section. And that, you know, makes it so that at that point in the video, you might say, okay, just, you know, make sure and go to, you know, yogafunnelshq.com/go in your video, in your live presentation, but they'll also see it kind of pop up below them, and they'll be able to see the, oh, hey, and they can just go straight down below. And so we've got our countdown, we've got this going, this is looking pretty good. And then, so let's just see what this looks like. So let's do this a little bit differently. So let's go in here and set our animation now. We'll just set this to 0 minutes, and we'll just set it to like 15 seconds. 15, not 215, 15 seconds. And so now if we save this, and let's get rid of this, and let's just refresh this page. And so now if we sit on this page and if we wait for 15 seconds to elapse, then what we'll see is that we'll see that section, we'll see it fade in at the bottom. The footer will get shoved down because it's the section in the middle. And then they'll, so just pretend like your offer had just been made, and boom, here we have our section here. And now they've got a big old buy button. And we link this to our order form. And so, yeah, so that is kind of the next step of the process. Now we've got our replay page available. Now we've got a buy button. We're going to link this to our order form page, but in order to do that, we've got to have an order form page. So let's go ahead and refresh this because we've got one more page in here. So now we've got a replay page. So now we're going to go ahead and build out our order form page. And let's bounce back in and see, do we have, yeah, we've actually got an order form here. So we've got, again, kind of the bar up at the top. This is where you might start introducing some of that branding, some of that logo, that product logo. This is where you want to introduce that into this step of the process. So somebody that's coming in, they didn't know your brand before, but now they're getting ready to actually do business with you. They're getting ready to buy your product. So you want to start introducing that brand, what it is that they're buying. So this one is just a simple one section, two sections with a 2-column row, and then 3 sections for the footer. So we can build an order form, and let's see if we even have a blank one. I don't even know if we have a blank template for. Yeah, we do. We have a blank template. Oh, that's an opt-in. Sorry, my bad. I need an order form. I thought I collected an order form page, but let's delete this variation. So if you ever do this and you pick a wrong template and you need to go back, you don't have to delete the entire page. You can just delete the page variation, and then it'll let you repick a new template. You could also just quickly click the X on the left side, delete the page entirely, and start again. But I actually want to go to Sales and Order Form. And then let's see if we've got any here that are kind of already built out. I don't know that we have a blank one. But we're going to just gut everything anyway. So I'm going to pick one of the old style ones that I've been using for 100 years now. And let's delete this out. So let's open this page up in the editor. And let's go ahead and just delete all of our sections. We wouldn't have to do this because some of them were actually probably at the right number of sections to begin with, but we're going to do it anyway so we can start from scratch. And I like to walk through this and kind of reinforce this because this is you know, kind of an easy way to structure and get things the way you want them to be. So we're going to set the background color. Again, we want this to be white. It could be different if your theme is different. But what did we say? 3 sections. So we got 1, 2, 3 sections. So let's add in 3 sections. So we want to do full width section. We'll do 1, and then 2, and then 3. So now we've got 3 sections. And so this top one is going to be our row that we had above with the logo. And what else did they have on there? there, logo and a countdown. This would be if you're making a limited time offer, like, hey, this is only available for the next 48 hours. So that kind of, let's go with that same thing. So we'll put that, so we've got a 2-column row there. And then we've got, again, a 2-column row here, left side with the 2-step order form. Okay, so we've got that. And then right side is your product and what they're going to get, guarantee seals, stuff like that. You've got some security seals down here. Those are good to have, but don't put them on there if you don't actually have them. These actually mean something. Norton secured, McAfee secured. You need to actually register to use these. So I'm not sure that this was a great idea on this theme to actually include them, because if you're not using them, then you shouldn't be having them. And then you've got, looks like a 3-column row here. And so let's do a 3-column row. And so there's kind of our structure, right? Oh, somehow opened Evernote, another monitor. So we've got our structure here. So we've got 1, 2, 3 sections, 2-column row, 2-column row, 3-column row. Okay. So now let's jump in. We've got an element here. We want to add an image, right? This is our logo. Image. And then this one was a countdown. Countdown. This image, we're just going to make a logo. So let's, if you're not using tags with your images, you should, as you upload them, tag them. So that you can easily reference them later. So we'll put in the CF Code Lab logo, add image. We're going to make this one, let's just make this 40. Yeah, that looks about right. And then this, let's see if we want to pick a little different theme here. We do our blue, we used it on the other one. We want to set it to small. We'll do that. Obviously the blues don't match. I make sure and make up, you know, you can restyle these things with your own custom CSS as well. We'll go through that in another session, but you can do different colored label weights. Set that there, and then we'll set this timer. Say, you know, we said what, the 13th, 14th, 2019 at 12 a.m., which is actually midnight on the 13th. Or the 14th, depending on what your perspective is. So that's what we're going to count down to. Let's get rid of some of our margin or some of our padding here. So we'll just drag this down. We'll do this at 5, 5, and then do our row. Same thing. We'll drag this down, drag it down, 5, 5, and let's do a little bit of top margin here to make that kind of even out. That looks good. Okay, so that's kind of our top section. Now let's add in our 2-step order form element. So we want to do a 2-step order. And then on this other side, we've got a few things we want to do. And this is where I always highly recommend that you insert your stack. So when you're doing a perfect webinar presentation, you're going to have a stack. It's all the different things that you're going to offer in this product. What you're actually selling is going to have a stack in it. So somebody could be coming to your order form immediately after you've done your presentation. As soon as you make your offer, they can be coming to buy. But they get to this page, and if your order form page doesn't have that stack on, all is an order form, they might have forgotten everything that they were getting. But they're here, they've got their credit cards out, they're ready to buy. You don't want them to stop and ask a question. Hey, okay, I don't know, how many things was I gonna get? What was the total value of this thing? You want to reinforce that to them. So that's where your stack comes in. That's why we do it in the perfect webinar presentation. We set up the stack to build up a huge perceived value. And so we want to reinforce that perceived value right here on the order form. So you should always have a stack on your order form. If you're doing a perfect webinar presentation style order form, if you've taken them from a live webinar or an automated webinar and done a stack, bring the stack into the order form itself and repeat it there. And the bigger reason is because they may have come in 2 or 3 days later and watched the replay. or they may have watched the replay 2 or 3 days ago and decided then, yeah, I want to buy, but I need to talk with my wife first. Or I need to talk to my husband first. Or I need to make sure I get the money first. Or I need to apply for a new credit card first. Whatever it is, and they might come back and go straight to the order form. You want to make sure that you might have sent them an email that, hey, don't forget this offer is closing tonight at midnight. It may be 11:55, and they're just got an email saying that the offer is closing, and they have to go straight to the order form because they want to get this before it goes away. You don't want to get them to get there and be on an order form that all you're asking for is their name, email address, and credit card information, and not reinforce to them what it is they're actually buying and what the actual value is. You want them to feel 100% confident in that. So I like to re-put the stack into this side. So if you can take a picture of your stack slide, if you've done a great job with that, it's as easy as inserting a picture of your stack off of your slide if you want to, or you can rebuild it in text, however you want to do it. But that's a great one to do, is actually just insert the stack. And I'm not even sure, I might have some images of a stack in here somewhere. I may not. Let's see if we can find one quickly. If not, then we'll just move on. Yeah, so here's something like that. Got a few stack slide pictures, but not just the stack chopped out. Let's see real quick what else we might have. Yeah, it doesn't look like I have any of just a stack, but let's grab this. So this would be an example of a stack. This is one for the Funnel Builder Secrets. This is what you're going to get. You're going to get 6 months of ClickFunnels. You're going to get Funnel Hacks. You're going to Funnel Builder Secrets. You're going to get this, and this, so much more. So we've got that image in here, right? Okay. So this image is a little goofy. It's got some extra borders on the right-hand side, things like that. But you would put something in like, put in a headline. We'll do a subhead and drag that up above. And we'll just say something like, here's what you're going to get. And then we'll make that all bold, and we'll get rid of some of the margin up top, so it lines up more at the top. And then we'll give a little pad, a little margin here at the top to get some breathing room. There you go. And then, we had down below, you could see again, this one, we've got kind of a satisfaction seal. You could have down below this, you might want to put like your credit card seals, all your trust seals, things like that. You don't put those in there. So we had kind of our guarantee seal. Let's just grab that. You want to go out and get some, definitely use some good quality images. You can find lots of these things. We'll go to images, and we'll just pick up from in fact, you can even do a search on Icon Finder. Let's see, we can do even guarantee. Let's do a search. Let's do vector 3 realistic icons. Let's do, I don't know that we're going to find anything good on these other ones. A photo is found of guarantee. So we'll just go with our stock one because we know we had that one. We had what was that under badges? So we've got guaranteed. So we'll just do that one. We'll set this, set its size, definitely much better. It doesn't need to be that huge. Let's do image height of like 80, 100, 50, there we go. And then down below this, you might want to put in like your, and I think actually on step 2 might already have credit card elements already, but if not, let's go ahead and throw those in. Grab here, and we'll just throw in. These things are good because they we did stock. They're called credibility marks, right? They're things that people recognize, and they automatically kind of associate, oh yeah, Visa, MasterCard, these are kind of trusted brands, right? So it kind of transfers that trust to you a little bit. And so, having, that's why this example has Norton and McAfee. People want to feel secure, right? And they trust Norton and they trust McAfee to help protect them. And so you're transferring that trust from Norton and McAfee to you in doing business. And so you can throw those things in there. And so you could have, so this one has like this one actually is just a screenshot of the registration page on the laptop, but you could have that be if you work with somebody to come up with an actual, your package, right? All the different things you include, then you could throw that in here as well at the top. And then you could list out your stack. And then you've got your order form here. If you're doing a digital product, you don't have to have the address here if you didn't want to. There's an option with the 2-step. You could do just a 1-step order form in here. And if it was a digital only product, I'd probably recommend that you just do a 1-step where you just collect name and email address and then credit card information and then a big old buy button without using the 2-step. The only benefit of using the 2-step is to be able to, this works really, really well for physical offers where you're offering somebody to get something at a very, very discounted price or even a free plus shipping, where it makes sense that the first thing you might ask them for is, hey, where do you want me to ship it to? In fact, it works ideally for free plus shipping offers, but those offers have maybe a little bit run their course, especially when it comes to advertising them with Facebook and Google. But that's when they work the best. But if you're looking at a digital offer, you don't want people. It's not going to make sense to people to collect shipping address on this. So you may not want to use a 2-step on a digital only course. So you might go with just individual fields, and then you would just add in and go one by one and say, okay, what do I need to collect? Well, I need to collect an input that has their email address in it. So you would add that input, and then you would have another field. You clone this field, and you could put another one in that as the name, and you would set it to full name, and you might want to have name up above. So you might put that one up above here, and then have email, and then have credit card form. And then you would put in, credit card, and that's going to put in your credit card fields. And then if you, here's one thing I would say on the 997 course. I have a lot of people ask, the things that I would recommend is don't do bumps and don't do OTOs when you're selling a $1,000 course. It's not that they can't work, it's that it's difficult for them to work, and it might get people to give somebody the impression that, hey, this person is trying to nickel and dime me out of more money after I just spent $1,000. I thought this thing that I was buying had everything I needed to get started, but they're telling me there's these other things available, and why would I need those? I thought they should be included in this great big list of stuff over here. So it starts to plant a seed of maybe this course isn't as complete as I thought it was. So I recommend to never do on a large, a higher ticket item like $1,000 or above, not doing one-time offers or bumps on your order form. I would just stick with the traditional, I'm selling this one product, and the only thing that you might do differently is that you might offer it as a one-time payment or a payment plan where you take 3 payments, 6 payments, 12 payments, whatever, depending on the price of the product. That way, you don't have to look at lowering your price, especially your audience. I've had a lot of people ask about this when they say, hey, my audience really is, it's moms that maybe don't have a whole lot of extra cash. They're looking to get back in the job market. And so they don't have a whole lot of extra money to spend, but I'm asking them for $1,000. I'm asking them for $500. That might be a lot. I'm afraid they won't be able to buy because the price is too high. That's why I say, well, okay, so the price is not necessarily too high, because if you can show that the value is there and you can get them to believe that the perceived value is at least 10 times that, then to them it's still a deal. They just can't afford it. And so you make it affordable. It doesn't mean you have to lower the price. It just means they have to pay for it over time. And obviously, some people, you could say, hey, well, yeah, we finance through Visa, MasterCard, American Express. They would be happy to make you a payment plan. So that's one option. But if you want people to still say, oh, I don't want to have to put it on my credit card, I'm going to be able to pay for it each month, then you can offer a payment plan where you split those payments into 2, 3, 5 payments over a period of time. So those would be the only things that I would look at is the options. No bumps, no one-time offers, just a one-time price and potentially a payment plan if you want to offer that some level of affordability to your customers. So let's just leave this as a 2-step for now, because it's super simple, and we can get that added in. And we'll go through definitely and build out different order form types in future sessions. And we'll deal with some more of that stuff, and we'll deal with building products and all that stuff and setting up all the follow-ups and everything connected to that. But we just want to build out this basic order form here for today so that we can say, yep, we can accept money. And then we want to set this bottom section. We're going to set this to, I think we did gray like this. And we'll set the text color to white. And then we'll do something like a headline. We'll set head. You know, this could be another another logo spot, another spot to put in the brand. Go Funnel HQ. We look back here, we can kind of see what we had, you know, product name, some details, email support, call support. So, you know, and we do something similar, you know, to that. We could do email. And then we could drag this one over into phone. So if you want to offer phone support, and it's a good idea. If you can support it, I'd recommend doing it. If you can't, then it's not going to be a deal breaker. Just put your email over on this side and, you know, and make it a 2-column row or whatever. But adding this ability in for people to reach out if they have questions, if they're not sure, they're, you know, handle any objections. That's the whole point of the end of the stack, the Q&A session, is to handle objections on your live webinar, right? So your order form should also be able to handle some of those objections. Common questions, it might be good to actually have a Q&A section down below your order form to handle some of those objections. Yeah, so put in your email address and your phone number down below this, and your product name, and, you know, copyright, all the basic stuff here in your footer. So this is the basic structure of our order form. These are the sorts of things that are important to have. Obviously, your order form elements, your stack, super, super critical, important when you're doing a live webinar or an auto webinar style where you've done the perfect webinar style pitch, where you've got a stack offer. Make sure you reinforce your stack, what they're getting, what the total value of. And I like to put in, you know, a total value in this section, you know, something like total value, you know, $10,347. And then you can do a little strike through on this text. And then put, you know, just down below it, just $9.97. And then make that text, you know, some different color, make it, you know, red, green, something that jumps out. Maybe bump up the font size. Make this, maybe this text is red. Something like that. So there you go. You've got hey, you've got all this. Here's what this value is, and here's what it is today. And your order form elements. You've got your trust seals. You've got your, you know, your credibility seals that are, you know, kind of transferring that trust and credibility over to you. So that's kind of your order form. Everybody doing okay so far? We're at 2 hours and 16 minutes. So we'll try and wrap this up for today, and then we'll continue on in further sessions. We are going to go one more page, and that is just our order confirmation page. Super simple. We need that so that once they've bought this, they have a place to go so that we can tell them, yep, here's what you got, here's where to get access. So we're going to build out an order confirmation page. And we're going to go into sales, order confirmation. And we'll just, let's see here. Let's see if we got any good ones. I like some of the just original basic ones. This is always the original basic one. I tend to always just pick that one, even though, but you can kind of see what we've got here. We've got an order confirmation page here. This one doesn't quite make sense. We've got the logo, that's great. We've got a countdown on. I don't know why you would want to put a countdown on your order confirmation. That doesn't make much sense. Looks like it probably just got duplicated from the other pages, but definitely doesn't make sense to have your order confirmation or your countdown on your order confirmation page. But a thank you for your purchase. Click the button to go to get full access, and you can add your product summary and your kind of your product shot, your hero shot there, and you could have your contact information in the footer. So we've got just basically 3 sections on this one. So let's go ahead and edit this page. pulling up now. Okay, great. So we've got, let's get rid of this one. And let's get rid of this one. And then let's get rid of this one. And set our background color to white. Okay, great. And now let's drag a section in. We're going to do full width again. Drop. And then add section. Drop. And then add section and drop. Okay, so we've got 3 sections here, and so let's go ahead and build those out. This one, we'd probably do just a 1-column row. I would just have just a logo. I wouldn't put the actual countdown on there. I'm not sure why anybody would put a countdown on their order confirmation page. So let's go ahead and throw that in. We'll just do a quick logo. Again, if you're not using tags for your images, you should always do that. As you load them up, then you can tag them, and then you can quickly find them later. So we're going to click add that image, and then I'm going to set a height to it of like 80. Could probably even do 60. Yeah, there we go. And we'll get rid of, not going to worry too much about getting the padding and everything set right now. We'll do the same thing. We'll put our little background in there. So we'll grab this. We'll just grab one of our textures. We'll grab a background. I don't like that one I picked last time, but I remember which one it was. It was this one. And then we'll set that to repeat. Yep, that's the one. And then let's see here. We had a 2-column row in this one. Actually, we got a 1 column, and then a 2 column. So let's do that. So we're going to add a row, 1 column, and then we can do the same thing here with rows. We can drag another 1 column, and then we can do another row, add row, and we can do a 2 column. Up there. And so now we have 1 column, 2 column, and then we'll do a headline. And actually, we probably didn't even have to do another, we'll just put another headline right in below this one. We don't need to change. Well, I like to do different rows, and I might want to adjust the width of the rows independently of each other. I might want to add some different effect, maybe a border or background color on one row, but not on for one element, but not the other. So you can do that with rows. But if you have 2 elements in the same row, it's a little harder to do that. But in this case, we're not going to do any of that. So having just 2 elements in the same row is a little bit easier, and we can get rid of this and also make sure HTML a little bit lighter. It's not a huge deal, but it's helpful. And then in this one, we can do an image. And let's see if we've got any product shot images in here. I don't know if I have any kind of product stack sort of images in here. I don't think I really do. Least handy. We could do here, let's pick up Jeff Walker's launch book. So if this was what you were selling was a book, we throw that in there, and then we want our order confirmation element. And I like to, didn't mean to duplicate it, meant to get the settings. I like to make the font a little bigger than normal. These are 14 pixel font by default. I'd like to make those 18 or 20 so they stand out. And then the other thing that we might have noticed, well, we can stretch this over a little bit, do something like that. You might have noticed that on this one, it said the fonts or the text here says click here to access your purchase. This one just says access purchase. That, or if you say it's a physical product and there's no membership area, there's no thank you page or whatever associated with it, you can actually get rid of that entirely. And a lot of people struggle with that. The way you do that is actually with this download text button. So we could say, that just like we had on that one, click here to access purchase. And then that'll be different for every product that's actually on this order confirmation. In this case, we're only gonna have one. It's gonna be our core product. So that's gonna work out perfectly. And that's gonna link, when we set up the product, we're gonna link that thank you page, the air quotes thank you page, is gonna be actually the membership area. And so when they click that, they'll get taken to a membership area where they'll create their membership account. You could also put a video on this page that explains what it is they need to do. That says, oh, awesome, thank you for your purchase. Here's what you're gonna need to do next is you're gonna wanna go ahead and go over, click the link below that says click here to access your purchase. You're gonna be able to go over and create a members area account. Make sure to use the same email address when you're creating your members area account as what you use to purchase with. And we'll go through when you set up members areas, and we'll talk about how to force people to use that same email address so that, kind of automatically pre-populate it as well as lock it down. So I've got some special code to do that. So we'll get that installed and we can kind of run through that. But that's how you edit that text here that's shown with that link. But there's not much more to do there. You could change these product and price above. You could change those to something else. The text is there for that. But this could be whatever you want. And so we've got that set up, and then we've got our footer. Again, footer here in this case is probably just contact information, privacy, policy, terms, conditions. You probably would want to have something in there about your refund policy on the order confirmation page. So we're going to set the background color here. And we'll set the text color to white. And then we'll add in, probably add in a 2-column row on this one. Again, we'll have a paragraph here and probably do a little bit of a subhead above it. So let's drag this one up above, get rid of some of this margin at the top. Okay, and then let's align this to the left. Yoga Funnels HQ. And then let's align this to the left and give it a little margin, like 10. And then, so in this one, I would put, probably contact information, link to the, email for support. Those could be over on the right side as well. You could fill in some details there. But you want to make sure that on this page, they have a way to get in touch with you. If they have any questions, you want to make sure that they understand what the refund policy is, the terms and conditions, things like that. So you want to have links to those. So I would put those links either all on one side. You can put them all in the center, however works for your layout. But if we were to kind of match this up, that's kind of what we have here. And here's an actual, looks like they have a disclaimer here. The order confirmation page probably is not where you need to have the disclaimer at. The disclaimer probably needs to go more on your sales page, your order form. Is where most people that are going to say, hey, looking at it from legal perspective, your disclaimer needs to be before they buy, not after they buy. So that's just something interesting that they have here. We'll just throw in another paragraph here. Which is kind of what they have, and then this one, again, we could even left align this if we wanted to. And so that's kind of a layout, but this is the basics for your order confirmation page. One other thing that works well for confirmation pages, but not in this scenario. But if you're ever doing an order confirmation page for a lower ticket front-end product, you can do a webinar presentation on your order confirmation page. You can say something like, hey, you just bought this $27 product. We want to get you started on your free training right now. Here's the first presentation. And you go into an actual perfect webinar presentation pitch there that offers them a more expensive, higher ticket product with a buy button that takes them to another order form to buy a $1,000 product. In this case, we just sold them a $1,000 product. We don't need to present them with anything else. We just want to get them access, get them into their members area. So that is kind of a process. So we've got this. Let's make sure we save this page out. One thing that I didn't mention on this is the headline here should be kind of like this one, which was just that, thanks for your purchase, reinforcing to them that they made a good decision. That's always a good idea. So, thank you for your purchase. We know you're going to be super excited. Click the button below to get access to the full program. And so they can get in here and do that. I'm not quite sure what happened to I must have dragged that row up. I think I clicked that row. Click that up. There we go. So we'll click save here. And so that's it for the order confirmation page. So let's just go back and run through our funnel again real quick and see what all we've got set up in this case of a live webinar. So in this case, we've got a webinar registration page. We need to get people registered for our webinar. We've got a Zoom webinar set up in our Zoom software that is connected to the registration page. So when people register, they give us their name and their email address. We push that to Zoom, and then Zoom will send them emails. We'll also walk through in another session how we actually go through and connect the follow-up funnels on the ClickFunnels side to send them our email sequence to get them to show up to that live webinar. We'll do that in our follow-up funnels session. But then we have a webinar confirmation page. Again, on the webinar confirmation page, we're going to walk through and we're going to start opening some hooks. We opened some loops on the registration page. We're going to open some more loops on the confirmation page. We're going to tell them a little bit of a story. We might even give them a little bit of an indoctrination video. We're going to tell them a little bit more about the origin story, the author or the presenter, what their story is, so that we get them enticed to actually show up on the webinar. That's the whole point. The webinar confirmation page, they know what it is. We don't need to tell them just re-emphasize when the date is. We need to also make sure that we open some loops so that they show back up. And then we've got a replay page. So that once we've done the live presentation, we have a place where we can take that video and put it on here and send them back to it, that they can go and watch the video of the replay. And again, we've got a time delay section on this that will pop up at the same point in which the offer would have been displayed if they were on it live. What I've done in the past, and it has been effective, I actually learned this one from Joe Lavery, and Joe and I worked together on building out the funnel scripts webinar system. And when we did this live with a relaunch, and one of the things that we did there, and it was very effective, was to offer 2 replays. And I've also talked with Steve Larson about this. He does this as well, where you actually have 2 different replay pages. That way it gives you another reason to mail people out about the replay. You put up one replay page that is simply just the video, that's with very limited controls that they can throw on, that gives them the offer. And then you can put in a second replay that maybe the controls are turned on, where they can pause, fast forward, rewind, speed up, slow down, all those sorts of things they want to. And then maybe the buy button is available right away on that one, so that they don't have to wait for it to pop up. And that is another reason to have another replay page. So you could have a second replay page with a little bit different video embed with some more player options to give people a little bit more control, so that if they watched, if they didn't show up live or they showed up live, or they watched the replay or they haven't watched the replay, that now there's another reason to say, hey, I know some people like to watch replays with controls so they can fast forward, rewind, or rewind and watch a particular section again. I've had a lot of people ask for that, so please go and check out. I just put up a replay page that has that on it. Or you could swap out your embed. You could easily do it as well with the same replay page. If you're using something like Wistia or Vimeo, you could go in and say, okay, hey, I had a lot of people reach out to me and say they had certain sections they want to be able to go back and watch again to learn about ABC. And so I went ahead and turned on the controls so that you can now rewind and watch particular sections again. So if you haven't already watched a replay, make sure and go do that. So you can do it as a separate replay page or the exact same replay page, and just change the embed settings inside of Wistia or Vimeo, and it will automatically reflect on that existing page. And do that in sequence. Day 1, replay is available. Day 2, replay with controls is now available, and then move them on through there. And then we've got our order form that we can, we've directed them to. We obviously need this. The replay page we don't have to have by the time we do the live, but we're going to need it shortly after. But the order form we will need when we go live, right? We want this to actually be available when we go live on the webinar, so that at the end, when we make the offer, we can tell them, go to yogafunnelwithhq.com/go to get started right now. And that will go to the order form. And then we've got our order confirmation page. And then the other thing that we may or may not need to have, depending on whether you're doing a pre-launch with a fixed date, or whether you're doing, hey, this course is available immediately right now, it's recorded video, it's already in the membership area, is membership setup. And most likely that's how it'll be delivered. We're going to deliver this through ClickFunnels, and we'll work in upcoming sessions on how to actually set up the members area the best. Some of the custom code that I add in to make it easy for customers to navigate your content. And we'll go through that in a future session. But I think that's what we've got for today. We've got a system set up where we can actually sell our product. Now, obviously, the order form, we didn't actually set up products today. We'll go through that in another session as well. But we're going to kind of keep this one condensed as possible today. So obviously, if you want to sell a product in order form, you have to have a product. So we'll create products. We'll go through, we'll set up both one-time products and payment plan products in the future. But those things are pretty straightforward. So we'll get through that. And then we'll, when we get into more of the guts of some of the custom stuff that we can do with ClickFunnels and CF Pro Tools specifically, then we'll get more into setting up products and how to use some of those special tools and to use things like bestseller, best deal, because I would recommend doing some of those things. If you're going to offer like a payment plan, I would make sure that you highlight your one-time offer as your best deal, your best value. You're usually going to offer that one-time product at say $9.97, and your 3-pay you would do so that the math is slightly higher. So they're paying, instead of so $9.97 divided by 3 is 332. So you might do something like, if you want to do a 3-pay, it's $397 times 3. So that $397 times 3 is actually almost $1,200. So you get an extra, couple $100 out of stretching the payments out. But for some people, that $397 at a pop might be more affordable than doing $997 once. But then that gives you the ability to say, hey, we're offering this at one-time payment of just $997. That you're giving people a reason to give you $997 upfront versus if you just took, give me $333 a month for the next 3 months. They're basically giving you the exact same thing, but it's much less risk for them. And it's much more risk for you. So, but doing it $997 and versus a $397 times 3 gives people a good reason to go with the bigger chunk. And so you want to highlight that. So we'll walk through and show how to customize those and kind of do some of those custom features in a future session.